A comedian is the frontrunner in the Ukrainian election, a comedian with no political background other than the jokes he tells about it on screen. So who is Vladimir Szalinski, and how did he become so popular? I talked about that and the Ukrainian election with Paulo von Schirach. He's the president of the Global Policy Institute. Paulo, let's just start with this. Who is Vladimir Szalinski, and how do you explain his political rise?
Well, let's call it name recognition, right? He is a very famous, apparently, actor in Ukraine who's been around now for a while. And as it were, his role in his television series is to play the president, right? So he plays the role of the president. So he's very popular. He makes fun. Obviously, he uses since it's a comedy show, he uses it as an opportunity to poke fun on the actual leaders, and that made him immensely popular, especially among the younger generations who seem to have converted on him as in the presidential poll, the first round.
So he's obviously playing a fictional president. Is it a parody of the current president, or how's that working?
Of the system. And it seems like this is some kind of a, how can I say, well-meaning populist insurgency. His main platform point is corruption, which unfortunately in Ukraine has reached sort of stratospheric levels. The idea was that the previous regime, the pro-Russian regime that was ousted back in 2014, was very corrupt, which it was. But the new regime, the pro-Western regime led by President Poroshenko, is equally corrupt. And there hasn't been any either serious effort, or if an effort was made, the effort didn't succeed. And therefore, the reputation of the regime is of incredible corruption, not to mention the cratering of the economy. And, last but not least, the ongoing war in the eastern part of the country that President Poroshenko has not managed to stop.
And Poroshenko is in the running as well. How can you explain to our viewers how the election process works in Ukraine? There has to be a threshold, right, that the candidates need to get?
I mean, yes, there is it's a two-round system, very much similar to what exists in other countries, including in France, for instance. Anybody can run on the first round, and then the second round is only the two best, achievers, so to speak, vote getters, who get to have it at each other on the second round.
So what does it look like in the second round? Who would be the likely contenders?
Well, I mean, at the moment, the comedian is at 30%.